if we get stuck at numb and freeze, we're not processing any emotions. Stuff is coming up, life is happening, but we don't actually know how to cope. Like, we don't know how to actually engage for a good result. We're just sort of there. And we can start feeling like life is happening to us. We can start feeling like everything that comes up just means that life is awful. And that doesn't mean that we're a bad person that we disengaged. That means that our body, for our survival's sake, said, let's go. So the very first thing that I want to share with all of you today is, if you are in a place where you feel like you're fighting and flighting all the time, or if you feel like you're in a place where you are numb and you froze, do not feel guilty. Do not blame yourself that you're bad at this. Do not think that you're an awful person because you have no coping skills. What happened is that your body got you into a place where you could no longer cope. Your physiology to help you survive is kind of what puts you into this space. Because I know that a lot of things that I struggled with over time is that I felt bad. So when I'm in a not great place, when my spouse is in a not great place and I'm in a not great place, there are three things that I turn to. One, I really love French fries, guys. Like, French fries are like my key coping mechanism, because one, not only do they taste really good, but two, you can mindlessly eat them and not think about it. So when I am in my numb phase, that's genuinely where I go. Second, I binge watch like no one's business. I have been going through some struggles lately with work. Some things have been weird at work, and I have been working with some people that I never knew what I was going to get from them. Like, every time that we had an interaction, it was a completely different interaction. And so my body was like, I have to defend myself. Like, I don't know how to cope with this, because sometimes they really like me and sometimes they really don't. And what I didn't change. Like, what I was doing was the same, but our interactions were completely different. And so my body went into fight and flight mode in a big way and was just like, I can't be here. I don't feel comfortable here. This is bad. And so I started binge watching. The Librarians, it's a really great show, but maybe don't watch 4 seasons in 2 weeks. That's excessive. That's a lot. And then the third one is I stay up late reading, like into the wee hours of the night. And I've gone through this cycle a number of times, and it really is hard for me because I feel like I know better. Like, I know the tools that I'm going to teach you. I know they work. But I also know that sometimes you just have to make it through the numb and freeze phase before you can use the tools. Like, you can know they're there and they give you hope and they are possibilities of what to do, but sometimes you really just have to wait it out. So please don't feel guilty, because what happens is you're numb, you're out of the situation, so you're using coping situations, and then this little tiny nasty voice in your head is like, but you know better. You're a better human being than that. Why would you do these things? So then you feel guilty, and so then you feel negative, and so then you're dropping into this space, and the person you love is already in this place, and then your house is sort of a dark, sad place. So instead, I hope that you will extend yourself some grace and realize that it is just a process, and that you might choose to cope in unhealthy ways. After I got out of that dark place, and my husband got out of that dark place, he looked at me and he's like, you know, you watched The Librarians really hardcore. I was like, what do you mean? He's like you binge watch them. I knew you were in a bad place, because I would get home from work, I would cook dinner, and then I would watch 4 episodes a night. And then I would go to bed, and I would wake up, and I would go to work, and I would come home, I would cook dinner, and I would binge watch every night for 2 weeks. That's just how I coped. And then I finally woke up one morning and went, wow, Allison, you have some tools at your disposal. Let's see if we can use those tools to help you get out of it. But I still had to give myself that grace time to get through it. And so giving yourself the grace time is so important, because then you're not putting any other emotions in the mix. You're just dealing with what's there instead of heaping more stuff on. Then the last thing that I kind of want to talk about, what goes on over here, is victim energy. Have you guys heard the term before? Okay, victim energy can actually go both ways. The general idea of victim energy is that it's lower energy because you feel like stuff is just happening to you. Like, and this can happen to both those who are in the midst of depression, anxiety, or another mental illness that they're struggling with, but it also happens to the people supporting them. And I was actually talking with a friend just this last week, and as I mentioned, some things were really way weird at work. Like, just, I didn't know what my interactions would be like, and so I was always prepping for a battle, or I was always prepping to get blamed. And that's really hard on your psyche, to know that you did the best you could and that people are blaming you because you did something wrong. And so I just kind of was in this place where it's like, I'm doing my absolute best, but yet I'm still getting blamed for doing this wrong. And so then every time I would go to do an assignment, or every time I would go to do a task, my brain would just shut down, because it was like, you're just gonna get in trouble again. Like, no matter what you do, you're just gonna get into trouble. And so what I started doing was just attracting all of this, I have no control. There is nothing that I can do to reclaim control. And you just kind of start feeling that life is just happening to you and closing in on you. And during this time, my husband had hit another round of the cycle, so we were down on the bottom, and I was down on the bottom, and our computer died. Okay, so this is how this happened. Rough time at work, not doing well there. Things were off with him. We weren't sure what was going on, but it was just weird. Our fridge died, so we had to move the computer so they could get in to fix the fridge. And when they went to fix the fridge, the computer wouldn't start again because something had fried in the computer when we moved it. And so all of this stuff just like was piling on. And so that we would just have these cyclical conversations of like, what else is gonna go wrong? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, we're out of money. And the thing is once you get in this place, you attract all of this stuff to you that only makes it worse. And so we're like, stepping out of the story for a second. We are fine financially. And I have to say this, like, I mean, we both have good incomes, we both have money in the bank, like, we're good. We're solid, we don't have to go into debt to pay for stuff, like, we're fine. Knowing that, stepping back into the story, the fridge breaks. We're in an apartment, we don't even have to fix the fridge. That's the property manager's job. So they come in and fix the fridge, but all I can think of, all of our groceries are gonna go bad, and then we have to rebuy all of our groceries, and then the computer died, and we don't know what to do to fix it, so we'll have to buy so many parts, and everything is just awful, and then the car's gonna die, and then this is gonna, and you just kind of go in this landslide of like, life is absolutely awful. And if you give yourself some time to step back out of it, your brain will go, oh no, hey, we're cool, like, have plenty of money in the bank, the paycheck's coming on Monday, like, you were able to fix the computer with just 2 parts and one of them's under warranty, so you'll send it back. Like, if you can step out of it, your brain says, okay, we can cope. But your brain gets in this freeze stage and in this victim energy stage that you're just like, there's nothing I can do. I'm powerless, there's nowhere that I can go. And as I was talking to my friend, I was just kind of sharing with her how frustrating work was, because I did my best and it was never good enough, and I was trying this and it was never good enough. And so every time that I go to work, there's just this dread that it's like, I am a powerless being that can't do anything. Things are just happening to me. And she said, you know, Allison, that kind of feels a bit powerless, doesn't it? That feels really, that kind of like puts you at the dust of the earth level. Because if everything's only ever happening to you, then your options of bringing change are limited. So she said, Allison, how can you reclaim your power? How can you look at this situation so that you get your power back in this situation? So I went, okay, well, in this situation, I've now identified how relationships don't work and how you don't build trust in relationships. So that's knowledge that I can gain and I can use moving forward. I thought, well, what else is true? I've learned the kind of management style that I work really well with. Okay, maybe that doesn't help me today, but it is going to help me moving forward as I select new places to work and new people to work with. What's their management style? How do I work best with them? I've learned how to be a good communicator and to be very upfront. Whether they like that or not is not on me, but if I choose to be a good communicator, I know that I have presented my best self. And so, can you tell that I'm like standing up higher? Like as I was talking about the fridge dying and the computer dying and the car maybe dying and the groceries going to rot and all of those things, I kind of was really weighed down and just like, woe is me, because all of life and all of that negative energy was just drooping me down. But as I started talking about, this is what I've learned, these are my new abilities, this is what I use moving forward, you stand up straighter, your shoulders go back, you have better posture, because you then know that you are claiming energy and you are claiming ability for yourself to make a difference. And so even though my circumstances are exactly the same, and even though I can't just force my body to not have the same psychological response, every day I go to work is still hard because my body's like, but we've done fight and flight for so long. Like, we know how to do this. And I'm like, yeah, but my heart can't beat like that anymore or I'm gonna die. So then I walk myself through. What things am I learning? What things do I have control over? What places can I go to make this better? Because then, even though the physiological response kind of is still there, my choice of what I take from it is different, so I feel more confident moving forward. So, I'm gonna pause right there and ask, do we have questions before we move to the solutions? Or thoughts? I also really love thoughts. You mean I explained it perfectly and you understand everything? Yes! You also can keep stewing on that and we'll go back at the end and we can cover that more. So let us dive in to solutions. Okay, just by raising hand, if you want to share this experience, you can. Although I have a feeling that I just saw like panic overcome all of your faces. You don't also have to share the experience, but just sort of, so we know that we're all in even turn. Have any of you guys kind of gotten to the point where there was just too much in your head and you didn't know what to do with it? That's like my reality all the time. Or that there were a lot of emotions and that you felt a whole lot like this person over here, where just everything was kind of everything was out to get you a bit. To try and give this a little bit of context, I guess. I don't think that I'm alone in this, but I do think it's a struggle that one day I'm going to have learned everything I needed to learn with it, and then I'm going to be the absolute expert in the field. I'm not there yet, and it still stinks. So I struggle a lot with my own self-esteem, and I struggle a lot being my own confidence booster. As I discovered yesterday, I really like to work hard and be there for other people so that I can impress other people and I get validation from other people so that then I'm confident in what I'm offering and I'm confident in what I'm doing. There's a flaw in this though, because your ability to work hard and exceed expectations has a limit, because you can only exceed other people's expectations until their expectations rise to your limit, and then there's nowhere else to go. And then you drain yourself because you really can't do anything else. And if you are living your life needing other people to support you, and you are in a dynamic when you are the emotional stability of someone else, you hit a point where there is no one to tell you that you're good enough, because you are busy trying to tell the other person that they are good enough and they are valuable and they are valid. And their not being able to tell you any of those things is not a reflection on you, but is a reflection on them. Because if